What's up, guys? It's Smoshi from youtube.com/Smoshi and twitch.tv/xsmoshi, and today I bring you the final part of our four-part series called The 4 Rules to Securing a Win. Part 1 covered where to land, where to loot, and what to loot. Part 2, we went in depth on what the circle is and how to use it to our advantage. The third part, we went into what types of covers available in Rules of Survival, how we can use them, and how to traverse the map. All of this has led us to this point, our fourth and final rule, securing the win in the final 10. All that time spent looting and running around the map will all be for nothing if you can't clutch up and finish this game with a win. There's no room for second best, so let's dive in and figure out how we're going to take home the victory. There are many end zones for the final few circles. With the addition of the new map coming soon, the number of locations the circle will end at increases greatly. A few different types of areas you can expect are towns, which is the worst possible place to end, open fields with little cover, open areas with a good cluster of trees and hill cover, and a somewhat open area with a few buildings. There are different strategies for each location, but I won't go too in depth. I'll just give a quick overview of how you should approach each area. Afterwards, I'll be covering one of my strategies I use often, which has great results. When dealing with an Incircle inside a town, you have to approach super cautious. I'd bet that half the remaining players are already inside of the town, waiting inside of their own building. Let's take a Bitter Lake ending for example. There are 2 3-story buildings in Bitter Lake and 1 3-story in Echo Valley next door, which all have roof access that allows players to sit on top and look around third person in an almost 360-degree view. This is a very good building to be on top of if it's ending near you. But if you're on the ground, you have to take it slow. I suggest finding your own building to get inside and third person through the windows. As the circle gets smaller, keep an eye out for the bigger buildings such as the 3-story for any players leaving. Open fields with little to no cover is also a terrible situation to be in. You really want to take advantage of the outer edge of the circle in this end zone since you can eliminate the possibility of getting shot in the back. You'll want to move around the edge while mostly crouched to avoid alerting nearby players and paying very close attention to the grass. Open areas with a good cluster of trees and hill cover is my ideal end zone. You won't have to deal with building campers, and you can take control of the high ground, which will allow you to peek over the edge and spot players. Remember to take advantage of third person. Don't stand on top of the hill trying to spot players. You'll just leave yourself vulnerable. And lastly, one of the end zones may be an open area with a few buildings. So you may have a 1-story, a shack, and a 2-story with a balcony. More often than not, somebody will be in one of those 3 buildings, likely the 2-story prone on top, watching you in third person. A good strategy here is to throw a smoke grenade on top of the building. This accomplishes 2 things. The first is if there is somebody on top, they'll think it's a real grenade and give away their position. Second is the cloud of smoke should block their vision, allowing you to move closer, move to new cover, enter the new circle, or run away. You may even want to toss a grenade or Molotov if no smoke grenades are available. Just remember that he'll see you throwing the grenade, so if he's up there, he'll likely start shooting at you. Do not forget to watch your back as well. Never have tunnel vision on one guy. Always be aware of your surroundings. So those are a few ending locations that you can expect in Rules of Survival. Now let's go deeper into how exactly we're going to pull out this win. I'm not going to lie, this is the hardest part of the game. The 9 other players you'll be going up against didn't make it this far by crawling their way to the final 10 and may also be in a much better position than us, so we should give them credit and treat them like they're the best players in the world, even though they're probably potatoes. We shouldn't underestimate our opponents. So the strategy we're going to be employing involves the edge of the circle. This is a common strategy that really does work. Instead of rushing to the center of the circle, where you'll be exposed from all angles and will likely be one of the first to be eliminated, you should hang out around the edge of the outer blue circle and work your way around to the new circle. While doing so, you're going to be looking through windows and on top of buildings, looking behind any forms of cover such as trees and rocks, and especially the grass. When you do spot a player, do not immediately start shooting if he doesn't see you. Try and put yourself in a good position by finding the nearest cover. Remember that this circle will be tiny, so even with a suppressor, players will still know your general location once you start shooting. You'll want to ensure that you can safely take the next fight if need be. Do not loot any bodies unless you are in desperate need of supplies. Try to sprint as little as possible since you don't want your enemies to hear your footsteps. When there's about 10 to 15 seconds left before the circle begins to close, drink an energy drink. This increases your movement speed but also gives you health regeneration for tanking up the circle and other players. If you have plenty of energy drinks to spare, don't be afraid to keep one active at all times. They last 2 minutes. When the new circle spawns, do not immediately run to it. Take your time and scout the area for any players making their move. You want to try and be behind all players at all times. If the new circle is on top of you, find a good place to chill. High ground would be the best. But remember not to have tunnel vision on one area. Check everywhere while trying not to reveal yourself. Soon you'll find yourself in a 1v1. Don't panic. Remain calm. Once you spot the player, wait for a good opportunity to engage. Use your superior gun skill and cover to take him out and get the win. At the end of the day, it all comes down to being smarter than your opponents. Good aim also helps. If at first you do not succeed, try again. Battle Royale has a lot of random factors, so sometimes they do not work in your favor. But with a bit of practice, experience, and following these 4 rules, you'll soon find yourself claiming victory time and time again. So get out there, farm them points, secure those wins, and don't forget the rules of survival.